Welcome back to another video, you juicy pineapples. Now, today's video, we're going to get into Moses Itauma versus Itauma and Whyte. Now, this is going down Saturday, and I can't wait for this fight. So we're in Saudi. Um, I mean, what more do we say? I mean, leading up to this, everyone, even myself, like, that's just too much for Itauma and Whyte. Moses is just going to run through him. I'm slightly leaning away from that now. I'm slightly leaning away, just because the last couple of fights I've seen with Dillian Whyte, he hasn't really been asked. Like, you can tell by his physical shape, like he's showing up. He obviously thought they were easy paydays, especially with Teta. He was just, ugh, I don't know, lackluster, I suppose. But with coming into this one, Dillian Whyte looks in incredible shape. Probably could possibly be the best I've ever seen him in shape, to be honest with you. And that makes me lean towards, not so much, I'm still leaning towards Moses. I still think he'll get it done, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as what people are making out. Everyone's saying, "Oh, Dillian's washed, Dillian's finished, he's done." No matter what, like Moses is going to walk through him. I don't really believe that. I don't really believe that. Just because I'm going to go based off previous fights. Okay, so Moses Itauma, he struggles to see late rounds very clearly, and that's not because of the level of opponents. It's just because of who he is, how he fights. He's just pressure fighter non-stop. He's just always on your feet, and then when he's on your feet, you feel like he's in range, and then you throw shots and he's just out of range. It's just his boxing IQ is unreal for 20 years old. Like, it's crazy. You don't see that. You don't see even mature fighters be that clued up when it comes to you. I mean, the only one you can really half compare him to is Alexander Usyk, because of how smart his brain is, and same with like a Lomachenko, who, the way he moves with his IQ, with the movement, etc. I think you can kind of put Moses in that early bracket, not so much fully there right now, but the potential is exciting. It's really exciting because, yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen his fights or anything of him, then go look him up, because, yeah, Dillian Whyte hasn't got an easy night ahead of him, and neither vice versa for Moses Itauma. It's hard to pick a method of victory here, because it's it's two fighters in different stages of their career. You've got make or break for Dillian Whyte. It's a must-win fight for Dillian Whyte, and see, I feel like this fight is like a win-win for Moses Itauma. There's not really much you can take from, even if you lose the fight or if you don't win as comfortably, because you're in there with an absolute legend of the sport, who's, once again, when these breakdowns have been in there with the who's who of the division. I mean, he's fought some incredible opponents: Chisora, AJ, Povetkin. The list goes on and on and on. And Dillian Whyte, yeah, if he sometimes doesn't rise up to the occasion in the sense of getting the win, but he definitely stays in there. He definitely stays in there, and look at the names that he doesn't rise against. You know what I mean? Like, they've gone on to be world champions, or even top three, top five in the division, of multiple belts in competition. So a fit Dillian Whyte, a one that knows what he's doing. I mean, you've got Dillian Whyte's trainer saying that they haven't watched anything of Moses Itauma, which I think is just straight up lie. There's no way you're going to go into a fight with a prospect this dangerous and not look at anything that he does and say, we do everything the same as what we do. We prepare for any fight the same way. We just do what needs necessary. I mean, no, you ain't fooling me with that. You ain't. I don't know. It might be true. It might not be. But me, I'm calling bullcrap. So, what trainer with any credibility would go into this fight training their fighter against a guy like Moses Itauma and not watch any footage at all? I mean, the claim is smart. I mean, the fighters. I mean, I get it with the fighters. Like, Dillian Whyte could say he's never seen anything about Moses Itauma. Like, he doesn't care. He hasn't watched his fights or anything. That's good for promoting a fight. You know what I mean? Like, you can say that, but as a trainer, that's quite worrying. Like, especially if it's true, that is really, really worrying, because How are you going to take out a prospect like Moza Itauma without studying the right curriculum to like implement his holes in his game? Because with a fight like that, you need to find the holes, you need to find where he's weak, and you need to use it against him. And to be honest, watching his fights, the only thing that I can see in the whole of his game is latter rounds, take him to later rounds. That is literally the only thing I can think of. I've been watching highlights, I've been watching full fights from what I can remember from fights that I've seen and watched. He fundamentally does not really do much wrong. He does get hit, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't get hit with massive shots. Like, his chin hasn't really been tested, but at the same time, I feel like his chin will hold up good because he has still taken shots that can still put your lights out. Let's not get that wrong. Let's not mix that up. It's not like he hasn't been tested at all, because he has. He's been in there with some punches, and not even, let's say they haven't been top 10, top 15 level, or even ranked level in top 20, whatever. He still took punches that can put anybody on their ass. Let's get that clear. Whether they're top 5 or whatever, it does not matter. His chin has been tested to the point where people are saying his chin hasn't been tested. It has been tested. It just hasn't been tested by these top level guys. So I don't get that sort of breakdown and analogy that his chin hasn't been tested, because at the end of the day, there's fighters that are, say, ranked 40 in the WBO, WBC, or whatever, that can definitely punch harder than somebody in the top 5. It's just styles make fights, and some people have technical abilities that others don't. So to say that his chin hasn't been tested is kind of mad to me, because you go in there with these guys that aren't necessarily championship level or even British level or whatever contenders, and take the punches that Moses have taken and say his chin hasn't been tested. Do that, because I guarantee you his chin's been tested. Now, one thing that hasn't been tested is IQ against somebody that has IQ. So, for instance, he hasn't been in with a high-level fighter like Itauma and Whyte, which we'll only see Saturday night if he can withstand. And this is where it comes back to where I say it's a win-win fight, because if he wins, which I think he will, result. I mean, he's probably still going to have people saying, well, it was an out of prime Itauma and Whyte, which I don't necessarily disagree with, but I don't necessarily agree with as well. Because when Itauma and Whyte puts himself in shape with the way he has, I would still put him in there with the top dogs of the division. I generally would. He would still give people like Hrgovic run for his money. He generally will. He will stay in there with the fight, and same with like your Chisoras and stuff like that. He would. And look at Derek Chisora. Like, what is he? WBO number 1? I can't remember. He's WB something number 1, and people will still find a way to shit on him because of how old he is. But he wouldn't be there if he wasn't still there. Sorry about the noise just there. But anyway, going back into it, when Itauma and Whyte's in this shape, I still put him up there with the top of the top. I still put him up there. Now, whilst I'm breaking down this video and having my say of my opinions of how the breakdown's gone so far with other people's opinions and whereas my own, you will see highlights of both fighters down below. So yes, they're going to be old Itauma and Whyte, old Moza Itauma, current Moza Itauma, and current Itauma and Whyte. Now, they're going to be mixed in. So you will kind of be able to tell in which are more recent and which are more back in the day. Now, I didn't really want to put in the olden times of Itauma and Whyte because that's kind of not him now. But at the same time, I kind of do, because he's still got that IQ there. So in the intelligence that he's shown in those fights, previous, say like AJ fights, early Chisora fights, those sort of bouts, he'll still have that IQ. And the fact is, he's still put in the rounds. He's put in the rounds. He's shed the blood. He's shed the sweat. He's got the reward from that locked in up there. Now, with age come wisdom, especially in boxing. Yes, you do lose some technical ability, as in the sense of internally, like reaction speed and stuff like that. As you gradually get older, your speed and your reaction times tend to drop down a little bit as the age sorts of packs up. But the intelligence stays. The intelligence will stay. Your reaction time may not be great. You see it all the time in other sports as well. You always see the veteran fighters have the knowledge to give the young up and comers problems, and it's just how it is. It's how history's been written. That is literally how it is. Now, one thing I will say, as the videos are going down, you would have seen Itauma, the way he managed to close distance and managed to make his opponents miss. Sometimes they do clock him, depending on the experience and the actual intelligence and the IQ level of his opponent. However, he's not afraid to take one to be able to land his 3-4 punch combination or his single shot counter shot. He's not afraid to do that. He's not afraid to get himself in danger. Now, is that a problem against someone like Dillian Whyte? Yeah. I say straight fact, yeah. Because Dillian's going to want to not so much bully him, but wear him. He's going to want to put his weight, his experience. He's going to want to put all of that onto Moses. He's gonna lean on him. He's gonna try to want to play that physical touch. He's gonna want to do that to try drain the energy out of young Moses. Because Moses, let's be honest, he hasn't seen the best part of rounds, especially against experienced fighters. Can I see Moses getting an early knockout or a stoppage against Dillian Whyte? Of course I can. You'd be stupid to say that you can't. But do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. It's hard to call this one because there's multiple ways of victory for both fighters here. There's multiple outcomes. Yes, Itauma can get an early stoppage. Can Dillian Whyte get an early stoppage? He could, but the chances are very slim. Can I see Moses getting a late stoppage? Yes. Can I see Dillian getting a late stoppage? Yes. Can I see it going to a decision? Yes. But let's see. Let's see what depth of the waters Dillian takes Moses. Because that's what we're all truly here to see. Whether Moses is really ready to play with those big fish. And if he is, how does he hold up against them? I feel like Dillian Whyte is kind of like a tricky fight to take at this stage, because if you put on a good boxing clinical performance against Dillian Whyte, you're gonna get crapped on no matter what. Yes, he's old, he's past it, blah blah blah. These are all the things that Moses is gonna hear if he beats him in a clinical fashion. But the true boxing and combat sports analysts and pundits, etc., will know if Moses puts on a boxing clinic against Dillian, even if he doesn't, even if Dillian takes him to deep waters and Moses gets through it, withstands the onslaught, and goes through those deep waters and comes out on top, to me, that proves more than getting an early knockout over Dillian Whyte. I would rather see Moses get a good few rounds. I want to say at least 6. I want to see him get at least 6 and still box as technically sound as what he can. Because if he can do that against somebody like Dillian Whyte, whether he's on the back end of his career or not, and in shape, let's take that into mind. In shape, Dillian Whyte, he belongs up there. You need to now let him go off that leash. And I know Frank Warren will, because he said it. If he struggles against Dillian Whyte, they'll just reel him back in. They'll wait. They'll play the cards that they get dealt, kind of thing. They ain't gonna push him if he's not ready, because there's no point. He's 20 years old. But if he stays in there with a fighter like Dillian Whyte, and he puts on a performance that you probably didn't think that he had in him, Frank Warren will let him go. He'll unleash that leash and he'll say, free reign. That's it. We'll put you in there with the big dogs, because let's be honest, if he can, and he can do it this early, there's nothing but great things for him. Literally, he could. It's not if, it's when. He'll be unified heavyweight champion, and that is facts. That's factual. Say, would I put him against Usyk? No, nowhere near yet. I don't know. I feel like if Usyk's around, mm, I don't know. Moses will obviously fancy his chance and he'll take a fight like that. And once again, it's a win-win situation. You lose to Usyk, what? You're 20 years old and you've been in there with probably the greatest heavyweight of all time, potentially. And if you beat him, it's a win-win, literally. But I feel like most of this has been talking about Moses and how he could win. But let me get into Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte, as I've said before, he needs to take Moses into the dark realm. He needs to take him into a position where he hasn't yet been. And I feel like if he frustrates Moses, takes him into the later rounds, and doesn't give him as much success as what he normally does, I feel like Moses is a emotional fighter. I feel like he can get frustrated with things not going his way in the ring, in a sense. Um, and I've seen that before with the likes of Fabio Wardley, somebody that's looked highly, um, next big thing against Justice Hooney, um, losing every single round, and then he digs in deep to see what have I got. I'm losing every single round. Then out of nowhere, bang, sparked clean out. So you do see it. You generally do see it quite often, and it does happen. Um, so Dillian Whyte, he needs to take him to dark waters. He needs to bully him. He needs to try bully the bully because even though Moses is only 20, he still fights like a bully. Like he fights you like you don't need to be there. Like you don't belong with him, and that is literally as clean as I can say it. And I think a lot of people would agree with that because his IQ, disgusting, disgusting. Now, what is Dillian Whyte known for? He's the body snatcher or baby snatcher, if you want to say what. I can't remember his name. Said Dillian Whyte's nickname is. No, he's the body snatcher. He's got that name for a reason. He has a hell of a body shot. And these shots that these fighters have landed against Moses, if Dillian Whyte will have that up there. If he lands a counter, body straight to solar plex, later rounds, could even be early rounds. I haven't yet seen Moses in trouble, but if anyone can do it, I feel like Dillian could do it. But I feel like after the knockout from Povetkin, I get kind of worried seeing Dillian take a punch because you don't know which one's going to be the one to put his lights out. And he is known to take a punch, but he is also known to be quite chinny, I suppose. Pardon me, depending on the fighter. Now, AJ's wobbled him, Chisora's wobbled him, Povetkin's stone cold him. It's quite worrying because I don't think any of those fighters that I've just mentioned throws punches or throws the shots that Moses does at the angles that he does. And I feel like those are the ones that will spark you clean out, like Povetkin did. Dillian Whyte did not see that uppercut coming, and it was thrown from an angle that not many people would have saw coming. And it landed clean and sparked him out. It's tough. It is really tough. I do have Moses winning this fight, as you can probably tell. But I'm not going to count Dillian Whyte out. If anything, I do want to see Dillian Whyte do really well in this fight because I don't want to see a legend like that leave the sport after a good performance, if you know what I mean. Because especially when he's in this shape, I want to see what's left of Dillian Whyte because he's one of the true icons in the heavyweight division because he was there fighting and being active when nobody was. He was like a Joseph Parker is now, except from the past. Yeah, except from the past like year or two of being inactive. Um, Pre-lockdown, Joseph Parker was taking a fight. He was on pretty much every card, and now he's just like fighting every year. once a year, if that. Well, by the time he takes his next fight, it's probably once in 2 years. That's mental. But anyway, I have Moses winning the fight. I do not want to count Dillian Whyte out. I do want to see him do very, very well. Only time will tell. We'll see this Saturday. Let me know what you think. Are you watching the fight? Are you not? Are you watching the UFC? Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. But yeah, I'm going to leave that here. And I just want to say thank you for coming across another video. And once again, I have to apologise that it hasn't been as frequent as it was. Due to stuff in personal life, I've been very, very busy. So once again, I can only try and be as active and as consistent as I can be. Like right now, I'm looking like hell. I ain't even had a shower or anything yet. And yeah, I'm trying to fit it in where I can. So thank you for coming across another video if you're still checking in. But yeah, please do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Obviously, I appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys at the next one. Whoosh.